Now in the workshop I always have loads of offcuts lying around, and usually it's this stuff, CLS, and I love it, but these little sections are no good for anything really. What I'm thinking is, could I make some sort of plant pot stand? Because it's beautiful timber, it's finished, it's lovely, and I've got a big plant at home that I've just put on the floor and it looks a little bit lost. So can I make two simple H sections like that, and then probably notch out the top of this one, notch out the bottom of the other one, and they'll come together to make a really cool freestanding plant pot stand made out of leftover CLS. Let's work out some dimensions. It's about right, maybe 350. So proportionately, I think that looks quite nice. It's going to take up a slightly bigger footprint, but the plant's quite voluminous. And the timber with the white pot, with the plant, the greenery, I think that's going to look pretty snazzy. The 90-degree angle on the saw. I love that top tip. Like that. Now, it's quite a short piece of wood, so do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to clamp it. Okay, now it's all cut to length. I think it's going to work. It's a pretty simple concept, isn't it? Let's sand all the components, fix them all together, and then we'll make that little half lap joint. That's the complicated bit. Now, I confess, I don't know the size of my plant pot, but if I put the horizontal piece here, not quite central, then if my plant pot's this size, I'm good, and if not, it'll be that size. And actually, if I change my plant pot in the future, it's future-proof. A plant pot stand for life. Normally, I think it's fair to say you would join timber like that. But, because I like a challenge and like making life difficult for myself, and the crew are all now shaking their heads going, oh, he's doing it again, he's making it overcomplicated, but that's okay. We like a challenge. Now for the sort of tricky bit, I suppose. Two identical components, I'm pleased to see, but I need to somehow slot them together, which is tricky, but good fun. So I'm basically going to make a half lap joint, which is like that, and they come down together halfway. And actually, I'm going to cut just over halfway, because it doesn't matter if there's a little gap, but it does matter if it's in the way. I've learnt that lesson before. Now, as always, my piece of wood looks a little bit like a noughts and crosses board. It's got lots of marks on it, so I must remember to cut the top out of that piece and the bottom out of that piece. Now, traditionally, you would cut down here, and then probably chisel out the middle bit. So I'm going to use the multi-tool, because that is the perfect little gadget to get in that gap there. These are phenomenal bits of kit, and in fact, I might give it a go on these, as long as I can hold it vertical. Let's stop talking about it and do it. Now, I know that isn't a chisel, but look at that. I think that multi-tool is going to be used a lot more often in my workshop. That's bang on. Now the same on the other one, but opposite. And hopefully they shall then just slot together. Honestly, I'm a big fan of dovetail joints, mortise and tenon joints, old school fabrication, but I'm an even bigger fan of getting home on time, and that's going to make a world of difference. Look at that. Oh. Do you know what it's time for? Rubber mallet. I don't want to take any more off because I want it to be quite tight, that fit. So let's hope it doesn't split. Now it's never coming apart again. That's okay though. There we go. Now that will hold my pot beautifully central. Now I think that looks bang on, and the good thing is if my measurements are slightly incorrect I can always put it up that way for a bigger pot, so it's future proof. CLS isn't really treated, so I might give it a little coat of something, and I'm thinking maybe Danish oil to bring out some of that grain, add a bit of nutrients to the timber, and also when I'm watering it, if a little bit of water gets on, then at least it'll protect it. So Danish oil it is. Looks a bit like a spaceship. I do love a bit of Danish oil. Oh, that's better. Now, I know what you're thinking, you can see the screws, but I'm not too offended by that. And if you really wanted to, you could always drive them in and put some little wooden bits of dowel over the top. But it's a quick hack and it does the job. It looks great, and now it smells beautiful. So considering this was a load of old scrap lying around the workshop, bit of Danish oil, some screws, and that clever little half lap joint with the multi-tool, I'm pretty chuffed with that. Only one thing for it, take it to the houseboat and see if the plant actually fits.